Welcome to regular City Council meeting, Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. We'll begin with item 1.1, administration of oath of office to new council member, Noel Garcia, Jr.
If you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of this state,
the Constitution of this state,
the Charter and the Code of the City of East Lansing,
the Charter and the Code of the City of East Lansing,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of council member
the duties of council member
of the City of East Lansing
of the City of East Lansing
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Support.
Yeah.
Please take a point of privilege if you want to comment or
privilege,
speak.
Mayor, if I would, please. Thank you, everyone. There's some people here I'd like to thank tonight. I'm going to try to get through this quickly. I don't want to take up too much time. But it is important to me. There's a lot of people here that I'd like to thank, family and friends. We'll start off with these cool dudes up here at the front. They are the sophomore baseball team for East Lansing. Myself and Coach Greenwalt is back there. We co-coach these young men for the last 3 years. Stand up, guys. That's right. Now give me 10 push-ups. No, I'm joking. So thank you for your support. These guys mean a lot to me, so go and have a seat, Jen. The Horts, Toonstras, Greenwalt, Furtaz, all these guys, and of course my two boys that I'll introduce here in a little bit. My family, my sister and brother-in-law are up there. They brought their children, my niece, Marissa, her husband, Price, and then my niece, Stephanie. My sister did all this, brought everybody here today. She's been a pretty good sister, but more importantly to me is she's been an absolutely wonderful aunt to my two sons. My father, Noel Garcia Sr., stand up, Dad, real quick. He's here. I'm not even going to go into how much he means to me, or else I will be a mess up here. My brother couldn't be here today. He's at home with my mother, who's the matriarch of the family, taking care of her. I have a wonderful family, and I appreciate you all and love you. My two sons, you guys, everybody that knows me knows that they're my dudes. They're my guys. I love them with my whole heart. They're my support. City council members, I appreciate the trust that you've given me in joining you. I'm glad that you trust my experiences when I can bring to this council, and I promise you I'll work hard along with you. Just like you did your homework on me, I've done my homework on you. Mayor Bacon and Councilperson Watson, you two and I have worked together on the East Lansing Independent Police Commission. I've been enamored by your professionalism and your ability to lead that group. Council members Greg and Brookover, I watched you from afar and I appreciate your service, your fairness, and your dedication to the city. So I'm excited to be part of this council and learn from each and every one of you. Also, all those people out there that sent congratulatory messages, text, social media, and in person. A lot of people over the last few days have asked me why I wanted to do this. It's going to be busy. I know busy. I'm okay with busy. It's better than being bored. I know bored too. I'd rather be busy. 23 years ago, I was asked a similar question in my interview to be a police officer at City of Lansing. Why do you want to be a police officer? My answer then might have been a little naive: to help people and make my community better. Back then, HR people, you probably know, it was an open to chastise me in that answer, and maybe get me to change that answer a little bit, decision making. But I stuck to my answer then. And again, over the 25 years of working in Lansing Police Department, I never changed that answer. So today, in answering that question again, why do I want to be the East Lansing City Council? My answer is basically the same, but it's a little different. Instead of that 22-year-old naive thinking I could do it all alone, I understand now it's important to do things as a team, as a village, and it takes a city. So I'm going to stick to that answer again today to help people and make my community better. And I give you my promise that I'll do everything in my powers and work as hard as these people here will to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilmember Brookover.
Here.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gregg.
Here.
Mayor Bacon.
Present. Next up, I'll look for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, I'll look for approval of the minutes for regular council meeting, January 10, 2023. City Council special meeting, January 14, 2023. City Council special regular meeting, January 17, 2023.
I move we approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of 10 January 2023, the City Council special meeting of 14 January 2023, and the City Council special regular meeting of 17 January 2023.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2.1, all written communication received by council are posted to the online agenda packet. That's all communication received before 4 p.m. Next up, we'll have communication from the audience. If you are able to, please fill out one of the blue slips. If you haven't had a chance to, make your comment, state your name for the record. You'll have 5 minutes, and then just fill out the blue slip after your comments. Yep.
Good evening. My name is Jill Young. I live at 804 Longfellow Drive in East Lansing. An item was on the special January 17th meeting of the City Council as consideration of separation agreement with City Manager. It did not sound like an action item to me. I watched the replay of the meeting after hearing the news and was surprised but not surprised by the actions of the council. Once before, rather than work through differences, as Ms. Jessie can attest, a quick end to a long-standing relationship the city had was terminated. I'm referring to the discussion of contract with city attorney, agenda item, that was questionably added to the city council's agenda that directly resulted in the mid-meeting resignation of two long-standing, hard-working members of the city council out of frustration over the other council members' actions. Mr. Meadows, in his departure, cautioned, "This is not how you resolve differences with people, just getting rid of them." I truly wonder what direction this council wants to go in that is worth the cost the city has signed off on. And I'd like to give you copies of something. I have more if you need them. I've worked the numbers, and Mr. Lahanis' agreement will cost the city at least $460,000. I couldn't find cost estimates for the MERS contribution, which I would guess is not insignificant, but you can see the 1 year of dental, health, and vision, plus the 5 years of additional health insurance, calculated with a modest 10% per year increase, amounts to an additional $208,000 cost to the city. Added to the over $251,189 in payroll costs, you can see that the change in direction will cost the city of East Lansing almost $500,000 for Mr. Lahanis' departure. That was not the number that was reported in the newspaper. Mr. Bacon, you said at the meeting that your number one concern was the city's budget. And yet at that meeting, almost $500,000 of the city's money, my money, taxpayers' money, was spent without any real explanation, without transparency. Your contract with the interim replacement pays him a salary of $15,000 per month, which is only slightly higher than Mr. Lahanis' salary. But the $3,000 per month pushes the number up. That, combined with 7.5 days of paid time off to start accruing at his 21-year employed rate, health insurance, dental, and vision, all adds up. The use of a car, 2 round-trip air tickets, smartly designated as non-first class, also adds to the total. And by the way, if you're allowing him to work remotely, why does he need a housing allowance? And as an interim, does he still collect his retirement from the city? I know Chief Talaferro, and I've worked with him. He's a nice guy, honestly. According to his LinkedIn profile, his 17 years of experience previously was as fire chief, not running and managing a multi-million-dollar city. The contract states Chief Talaferro's appointment is as interim. Is there a search committee for his replacement? At that January 17th meeting, it seemed there was no plan in place for your voting to remove him effective immediately. You were unprepared when it was said Chief Talaferro couldn't start for a while. You were unprepared when it was stated the city's assistant city manager only had a few days left. Who was going to run the city come 8 o'clock in the morning? Thank goodness Mr. Brookhover remembered that there was a recommended ascension line that could be followed. The City Council was unprepared in their haste to remove Mr. Lahanis to be sure the needs of the city were met. They were not transparent, in my opinion, to the expense to the city at nearly $500,000. And I question, are you being transparent in searching for a qualified candidate for city manager? You have said over and over again it's about transparency. I would ask you to please live up to your words. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment? All right, seeing none. Anyone in the online queue? Thank you. Communication from the mayor and council. Councilperson Garcia.
No, thank you.
Councilperson Brookover.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilperson Watson.
Just wanted to say welcome to you, Councilmember Garcia. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Gregg.
Yeah, Mr. Garcia is clearly more popular than all of us, so we've got to deal with your fan club here, but you're clearly well supported. I think we've made a solid choice, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you very much.
And back to me. Yes, I just want to say thank you for committing to service. I mean, that's kind of your track record, and we expect nothing less. It's just, I just anticipate exemplary service, and however we can help you to get up to speed quickly, we'll do that. And any, like I've told everyone up here, I'm just one of 5. So if you have thoughts or when we dissent, that's just fine. And we walk out of here and we the same as when we walked in here. So feel free to disagree, hit the ground running, and bring your ideas, because that's why we brought you here. So we're looking forward to it. Quickly, I want to address here kind of what's been a really challenging week, kind of around our schools, and just always remind people of this board's composition. There's parents up on this board as well, and I'm a parent of 3 who've gone through our school system and coached hundreds of kids through our systems. It's been a very challenging week. I just want to make the school aware that we as a city are here to support. will have their backs kind of at every turn here to make sure there's safety and kind of whatever we can do to support them. Next to that, on Friday, I'll post something. I'm waiting for some stuff back from the city. I'll have a listening session this Friday here in the Hannah Center, kind of around public safety in general, and then obviously around school safety, just to kind of hear from people who have requested to talk with us, and we'll be here to listen. So we'll be here. I'm allotting, it's kind of 5:30 to 7 in the banquet hall here. We'll be set up. All are welcome to come out. We'll try to do things in an orderly fashion, and definitely try to fashion it in a way where we can come out with some solutions and just make sure that we're hearing from everyone that's involved and affected more than anything else. And I feel a sense of urgency around it just because the seriousness of safety of our children in general. So we'll be there to listen. So please all come out, check social media. I'll post it almost anywhere possible where parents would have access to it in the neighborhoods, et cetera. And we'll post it on our social media and try to get it out as broadly as possible. It doesn't have to be the last conversation around this as well. It's just kind of an introductory conversation around this. So we'll be having more. I'm looking forward to seeing people on Friday, and all are welcome to come out on that day. City Manager's report.
Nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. City Attorney's report.
I have nothing to report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, item 3, consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. We have the following items on the consent agenda for council's consideration. Item 3.1, approve the following appointments or reappointments to boards or commissions. A, Michael Olabisi to the Income Tax Board of Review for a full term ending December 31st, 2025. B, Thomas Ribault to the University Student Commission for a full term ending September 30th, 2023. C, Danielle Booms to the Transportation Commission for a full term ending December 31st, 2025. Item 3.2, approval of the contract with Floor Care Concepts in the amount of $43,451.20 to install a Herculean TC Club color code system on the 10 pickleball courts in the Patriarch Park, and authorize the city manager to sign. Item 3.3, approval of the traffic control order TCO 491 to update the no parking signs on Stoddard Avenue from Grand River Avenue to Frye Avenue to no parking, standing, park, or stopping in tollway zone. Item 3.4, approval of the drinking water assessment management grant agreement between the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy and the City of East Lansing, and authorize the city manager to sign. Item 3.5, set a public hearing to consider a site plan application to construct building additions at 3410 West Road for February 7th, 2023, City Council regular meeting. Those are all the items on the consent agenda for council's consideration.
Mayor, I'd ask that item 3.2 be taken off the consent agenda and added to the business agenda. I have just a few questions on that.
Is that the motion?
I actually don't think that needs a motion. I don't know, the city attorney can determine that. But.
Okay.
To move something off the consent agenda, does it require a motion or just the?
We would just approve it as amended.
Okay. Second? Further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 3.2 is the new item 4.2. Next up, business agenda, item 4.1, consideration of next steps related to city requests for housing proposals at 27-acre city-owned property at Coltman and West Road.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to get situated out here at Staff Island. Yeah. So I'll introduce myself briefly. My name is Peter Menser. I'm the Planning and Zoning Administrator for the city and also serving as the Interim Director of the Planning, Building, and Development Department. And of course, happy to be here as always. So there's a very detailed memo and presentation from the former director in your meeting packet that outlines how we got to tonight with regards to the city's 27-acre property at the southwest corner of Coleman and West Roads in the northern tier area of the city. There's also a timeline of some of the information and plans that informed that effort, details on the contents of the request for proposal, and what was sought from developers submitting projects. So a breakdown of the three, and as well as a breakdown of the 3 proposals received, and a recommendation from staff, and even a motion in your meeting packet to move ahead with a pre-development agreement with one of the submittals. There is even an outline that an outline of the elements that could comprise that future development agreement. So I'm not sure if you need me to go through all those items tonight. The city meeting packet available for you to read at length. Not to mention, I simply haven't had a lot of time to prepare for this meeting, given the whirlwind of the last week, but also I really wasn't expecting to kind of have a larger voice in this, a larger role in this project and a leadership voice I now find myself having on this as the interim director of our department. Particularly as it relates to this project and kind of the scale of this project. That being said,
Lonely on that island, isn't it?
yeah. So that being said, my best advice at this juncture is to press pause on this process. There's no shot clock on making a decision on this property. We do need to get there. It doesn't have to be tonight, and I don't want anyone to feel the decision was rushed or regret the direction that's been selected. I can't understate the tremendous opportunity this land represents to the city. We may never have, and I guess we, the collective, we may never in our lifetimes have a chance to influence how this large of a land area is developed in the city. Not only for the city's property, but consider the implications, kind of the tone for the surrounding area, and establishing an eventual policy infrastructure that could be the blueprint for the future development on the city site or other potential developments, whether it's in the northern tier or other areas of the city. So if there's support from council, I would propose that we take a step back, reevaluate the city's options, provide what may eventually be my own recommendation, and certainly that would be informed by the many partners that we have here on our staff throughout the city and throughout our staff and throughout the city on establishing a direction on where we go with the property. So that means getting more people at the table, more eyes on any eventual request for proposals, more research on national and state funding options, more data on the best mix of units for the future of that site. Possibly think bigger and weight this decision in accordance with the opportunity that it represents. So I don't have a timeline on this at the moment, but would like to revisit this issue with staff at a future meeting with really a sounder plan of attack.
I move we table this discussion, this matter, until such time as the staff feels that it is properly prepared to present this matter with any additional recommendations to the council for its consideration.
Second, in discussion, and I'll lead into that. Yeah, I think, frankly, the landscape's changed. Obviously, there are some unique opportunities in the landscape now, kind of both politically, demographic, a whole bunch of stuff has shifted even since we started this conversation, and some of our assumptions were coming out of the pandemic and a lot of other things. So I think the market is a little clearer now and way forward. So I'd even ask that we look broadly at that market again and reshop this, even looking at the nature of the RFP and kind of as you're shaping that and looking at that and trying to get some more kind of conceptual and ideas from the marketplace, and we'll try to put together for your team kind of the best option. But obviously not letting perfect be the enemy of good, but that we put together some of the best options and come back and get another peek at it. And I trust that that's what you guys will go and do. So we'll give you as much time as needed, and I think it is important that we get this right moving forward.
I appreciate your patience with this process, and we certainly hope to be back in front of you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that require a vote to finish just vote that through?
We need to vote to
All
table.
right, vote to table. All right. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, item 4.2, formerly item 3.2, approval of a contract with Floor Care Concepts in the amount of $43,451.20 to install Herculean TC Club Coat System at the 10 pickleball courts at Patriarch Park, and authorize the city manager to sign. Is that correct, Councilperson? That was a correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I have 3 questions. Did we get bids on this?
This particular product is from a sole source vendor. This vendor is the vendor that has identified in Michigan to install this surfacing.
Okay, so I think my next 2 questions maybe are directed at the city attorney, with all due respect. Let me just point out, under the indemnification clause, do you have that in front of you? It's page 5 of the contract. Page 24 in the materials I have. Okay. So that first sentence, Tony says, contractor shall to the fullest extent permitted by law pursuant to defend.
This does look like it just has a minor typo in it, yes.
Yeah, and what I'm concerned about is maybe, since I think this is our form contract, I hope can we correct that typo?
Yes, absolutely.
And then the next part of this is really, with all due respect to the pickleball players, I understand that they're indicating they're going to raise the additional funds, but in this contract, doesn't the city agree that it's going to pay $43,451.20? And we don't have $43,451.20 in this contingency. We have $30,000 more or less. So should this contract reflect that we're only agreeing to commit $30,000? Should they be a third party to the contract? I'm not trying to quibble, but a contract is a contract, and in the end, I don't want to be stuck for the extra $13,000 or whatever without a reasonable discussion about that.
Yeah, the reality is, I think that we should understand it as a good faith, donation in kind, but the reality is, in voting for this, we should expect that the city could be obligated up to the $43,000, and likewise, we wouldn't want to add them as a third party to the contract, because I don't want them to have a property interest in the product when it's installed and completed.
The pickleball, does that work okay? The pickleball nonprofit has already raised and contributed to this project, I want to make sure I get these numbers right, $145,000. So they've already raised that and contributed it to the project. So my confidence level that they can raise the additional $13,000 necessary to cover this expense is quite high.
And you have the $13,000 in your bank account ready to cover it if your confidence is misplaced?
We have funds in the Parks and Rec portion of the income tax fund that could cover this expense if necessary.
I have a question. Is this the final financial hurdle for the courts to be completed?
This is a add-on to the project. I think I'll phrase it that way. There is in the existing contract striping for the pickleball courts, but not a color-coded surfacing. And so this is the final component that gets those courts in a condition that that the pickleball players are most interested in seeing.
Questions? All right. Okay, so I'll look for a motion.
I'll move approval of the contract with Floor Care Concepts in the amount of $43,451.20 to install Herculean TC Club color coat system in the 10 pickleball courts at Patriarch Park, and authorize the city manager to sign.
Oh, second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. And with that, meeting adjourned.